Как и у любого.
My reaction, like that of any normal Russian, is extremely harsh. This is a terrorist act, behind which the armed forces of Ukraine, our enemies, and the last Nazi regime on the planet in human history are behind. This is a despicable, treacherous act of terrorism, for which both those who planned it and the perpetrators will have to answer adequately in the near future. My deepest condolences to the family and friends of the late Igor Kirillov, whom I knew well, and his assistant. We worked very seriously, and apparently he cannot be forgiven for this in Kiev and where the puppet Kiev regime is controlled from. On the chemical and biological centers that impact the people, which the United States created and located by the dozens on the territory of Ukraine, a special commission was working, headed on our side of the State Duma by Deputy Speaker, and Igor Anatolyevich was our key partner on the side of the Ministry of Defense. He was a high professional, a man whom we will hold sacred and always remember. Once again, our deepest condolences to his family and friends. We remember, we are proud, we grieve. The monstrous terrorist acts, both in the special military operations zone and outside it, and today's terrorist attack that took the lives of General Kirillov and his aide, this is the agony of those remnants of the collective West that have not yet had an epiphany, and it seems are not going to have an epiphany and come to common sense. Such people are pushing humanity towards the Third World War, in which there will be no winners. Ukraine, in fact, has long been a terrorist regime, as we say in the UN General Assembly, and on many international political platforms and in the information space. In this case, what is important is not this or that decision, but what is happening in essence. And most of the world community is in solidarity with us today around the idea and approaches of the President of Russia for building a multipolar world on the planet, for moving towards peace, not war. Undoubtedly, the death of General Kirillov and the disgraceful terrorist act will be a powerful factor in getting new countries, peoples and experts to stand on the platform of our views and assessments. All of them are undoubtedly based on the fact that the current terrorist regime in Kiev is just that. Just as all the sponsors of this puppet Nazi regime, led by the illegitimate Zelensky, are essentially terrorists without exception.
Watching the world burn, December 17th, 2024. Let's get into it. If you haven't been following along, the CIA has declared war on the KGB. I wonder how that's going to turn out. I tell you what, if I was a CIA, well, of course, we got a lot of CIA in Ukraine for sure. I'd be shaking in my shoes right now because Russia's coming after you. If you didn't know, the CIA just took out a Russian general. Now, a little bit of background on that general was he was in charge of the bioweapons research. If you didn't know that the warmongering Democrats were trying to destroy the world, we had 46 weapons labs in Ukraine that were basically trying to engineer a virus or a disease, biological or whatever, to wipe out the Slavic people, which would have included Ukrainians, which is amazing that they allowed the United States to, well, the Democrats to put 46 labs on their territory. It's just incredible to me. But anyway, because he was getting to the truth. And by the way, Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, they're intricately involved in all of this. You got Democrat friends? Why don't you point this out to them? Where do you think COVID came from? Do you think that Biden is going to give Fauci a unilateral pardon? That warmongering criminal that killed over 1 million people by his funding of these weapons labs, and of course the Wuhan lab in China where the virus came from? Just saying. Just saying, And by the way, later in the video, we're going to get into some I know geopolitics may not be your cup of tea, and so we're going to get into some investment stuff in this video that you might want to learn about. So it's going to be good. You know what? I hadn't done this in a while, and I wanted to go through a few of my replies because I like my replies. I think they're pretty damn good, and so we're just going to go through a few of these on X, and then we'll get into the video. Of course, you watch the video up front, and I'm telling you, Russia is going to respond. And well, I guess we'll just get into my replies because they say everything. So this is clandestine. I'm not trying to be dramatic, but I am in danger. Exposing the U.S.-funded biolabs in Ukraine is essentially my entire identity. Now the CIA are assassinating the Russian military officials in charge of investigating the U.S.-funded biolabs in Ukraine. I am not suicidal. And I said, well, the KGB never went away. And if you know that Putin actually started his career there many, many, many years ago, the CIA is now on the target list. Remember in Lord of the Rings, meat is back on the menu, baby. Oh my God! I tell you what, they have brought down the reign of destruction. So anyway. And my response was, CIA and Zelensky had better move to their $1 million mansions quickly. If you didn't know, the Democrats robbed all of the money that we've been sending to Ukraine, and of course there's mansions all around the world where Zelensky and his corrupt government, and of course the CIA, I'm sure they've got their mansions. This should be the biggest story on earth, but it's getting minimal coverage. Let's watch that video now.
Рост заболеваемости нехарактерными инфекциями отмечен в данный момент в ряде стран. И то есть тоже мы можем говорить о том, что это не без помощи американских биологов.
Я думаю, что вот так огульно заявлять, мы же все-таки должностные лица. Ведь биологическое оружие, если посчитать, какой ущерб нанес ковид, то, наверное, будем говорить, за 2 года, да?
Ну, основная такая пандемия 2 года шла.
То даже ее нельзя сравнить с ущербом, который был во Вторую мировую войну. Это в десятки раз больше. Зато выгодоприобретатели той же Big Pharma.
Вы имеете в виду фармацевтические все компании?
Компании, которые в основном находятся у нас там в Соединенных Штатах, это там колоссальные. Как-то вот так.
То есть вопрос
стоит.
Да.
Вопросы мы задаем. Мы же передаем документы. Вот характерна реакция Соединенных Штатов Америки, про которую мы говорим. Ни одного опровержения тем документам, которые мы предъявили, не было. Мы передали документы, это более, наверное, 2000 листов в Организацию Объединенных Наций.
Какой ответ пришел?
У нас, как правило, 2 ответа. Один ответ происходит в Соединенных Штатах Америки. У них же он стандартный. Все, что не делается, все делается в интересах национальной безопасности Соединенных Штатов. И нам надо доверять.
Слепо доверять?
Да, слепо доверять. Там политика глобального биологического контроля. Они поняли, что это работает, что посредством искусственно создаваемых таких кризисных ситуаций биологического характера можно управлять миром. Ведь ничего бесплатно они не делают. И даже поставляя каким-то государствам на безвозмездной основе, она не такая безвозмездная, как они об этом говорят.
All right, so let's keep going. We know the Biden machine and FBI are lying about the drones because they lie about everything. I'll just read it to you. If a Democrat lips are moving, they are lying. That was my reply. And this was Spence 07. I guess firing missiles into Russia wasn't enough. Now we are killing nuclear defense officers, and this shouts, please nuke us. I want you to talk to a Democrat and say, why do you want global thermonuclear war? Please. That neighbor that sits out there and you just want to be friends with them, I want you to go over and say, Why do you want global thermonuclear war? Don't you think that'd be bad for all of us? Just ask them the question. Please, God, somebody leave a comment and say, I asked a Democrat that question and this was their response, because I get no comments about that. I don't get it. Ukraine, the U.S., and NATO are playing a dangerous game, and I have no idea what the end goal. World destruction? Yeah, definitely. It's world destruction. This won't end in our favor. And of course, my reply was satanic Democrats. You got to be satanic or demonic or just out of your freaking lunatic mind to want global thermonuclear war. What the hell's wrong with these people? Oh, that benign neighbor. Oh, she brings the cupcakes to the church and she's a Democrat and she just votes for Joe Biden and Hunter Biden and she doesn't know anything. These are the people. Ignorance is no excuse. Okay, God put us on this planet to keep a watchful eye. It's called, remember the sheep herder or the shepherd. Okay, he watches over his flock. Anybody who's not watching over their flock is evil. Okay, just saying. Douglas McGregor, to be clear, the two principal winners in the fall of Syria are Netanyahu and Erdogan. And I said, no kidding. Latest video up at ThatCyberSecurityGuy. That was yesterday's video. And then, of course, Douglas McGregor, let's be frank. People in Washington and the CIA at the top of the government and their big donors are engaged in a strategic chess game. No one in Washington cares about the people living in Syria anymore, that they care about the Ukrainians. Well, they don't care about anybody, but they're, evil. That's all they care about. How can you explain all of this? Anyway. I said my reply was they also care nothing about America. This was an interesting Jewish NGO and nonprofit Stop Anti-Semitism has named Candace Owens 2024 Anti-Semite of the Year. So my reply was, I thought it would be real Scottish or Scott Ritter or myself. But then again, I'm just a tiny fish, and Scott's a big damn dude on the internet. We're just going to go through a couple more, and then we're going to get into the video. Wall Street Mav, I have not actually watched an NBA game probably 10 plus years. Does anyone actually care who wins these games? I don't think I've watched an NBA game in 10 years. Maybe, good Lord, I think I was in my youth when I used to watch I think it was when Michael Jordan. Remember when he was, because back then, I was following along. And I did want to watch some of the NBA games, but once they went woke, I couldn't. But then, of course, then the NFL went woke, right? And so I said, well, same for the NFL games for me. However, if the Redskins take back their name from the woke, I will start watching again. Now, I just want to give you just a little bit of background, and we'll stop right here. My father, my best friend, we used to have Redskin parties, man. It was huge, and people would come from all over the neighborhood, and we have beers flowing and everything. That was the highlight of my life, was watching a Redskin game. Well, when they changed the name of the team, that was it for me, man. That to me was just a tremendous blow. I was like, you know what, I don't want to watch NFL football anymore. And by the way, the New York Jets are my favorite team. But of course, when they started playing the black national anthem, there's only one national anthem in the United States. Okay, and in my last video, I started it out with the U.S. national anthem. Okay? There's no Asian national anthem or Hispanic national anthem. There's only one, and that's called the American national anthem. And we're all Americans. All right, let's get into the video. Like I always say, I wish I could be a Florida weatherman. 0% chance of rain. Hold up under the only shelter I know on this trail. Anyway, continuing on the drone theme, Douglas McGregor, drones were reported above Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio. Air Force Base, ATC diverted traffic. Apple with a huge call this morning. For the first time since the Fed pivot began, Apollo has officially declared inflation back on the rise. Like I told you, the numbers that are going to start coming out are going to be more and more real. And we were talking about that in investing, and we'll get to that in a minute. They warn of potential repeat of the 1970s as the Fed cuts rates into rising inflation. Here's what you need to know. And then, of course, it goes into a thread, and maybe we'll read that in a future video. I want to save it. This is breaking. Dinesh D'Souza. Nathan Wade admits to working with the White House while prosecuting Trump in Georgia. Let's watch that video.
Georgia prosecutor in the Trump election meddling case testifies before the House Judiciary Committee. That's Nathan Wade. And he admitted he met with White House staff on several occasions while working on the investigation that was led by Fulton County DA Fonnie Willis. He also says he had to brush up on his knowledge of racketeering law. So that continues.
All right, so that was interesting. Elon Musk, well-articulated analysis. Important edit. Bit rate and patient number will increase exponentially over the next 5+ years. My guess is combined IQ bit rate 1 megabits per second, augmented humans. And it was a post, and this is into investing. That's why I was reading this. Why Neuralink is the most important company this decade. Neuralink is delivering life-changing value to humanity. Now, when this company, I don't know if it's public, but I was told it wasn't. And when they go public, I would say this would be an excellent investment. Now, the big boys always get in first. So what's going to happen is that, if it does IPO, it'll shoot way up. Not a time for you as the little fish to buy it. What you want to do, well, hopefully, what usually happens is it'll go up, and then, of course, as time goes on, it'll come back down, and then you might be able to get in at a price point somewhere in between where the big fish got in down here. The stock went to up here, and maybe you can catch it somewhere in the middle. But anyway, so this is a real long post. I won't read it all to you, but it's very interesting. So I wanted to get to some more Democrat stuff. Top 10 U.S. presidents by total number of pardons. And this was like 3 or 4 days ago. Clemency commutations. What jumps out? Joe Biden has issued 8,027. FDR did 3,687. Woodrow Wilson, 2,480. Harry Truman, 2,044. Barack Obama, 1,927. Look at this. I mean, look at the number. I'll just put the post up above. I'm not going to sit here and read them all, but think about what Joe Biden is doing. I mean, and if he does preemptive pardons, I mean, that tells you the Democrat Party is corrupt to the core. I mean, and a lot of these are pedophiles that he's pardoning and sex crimes. Why do women vote Democrat? Here he is pardoning a bunch of rapists, and the women are okay with that? I don't get it, man. I just don't get it. Finance nerd. Charlie Munger. Okay, this is the post that I wanted to read to you. And this is from Finance Nerd. So we're gonna read this whole thing. So we're gonna talk about investing. Charlie Munger was a big believer in mental models, but he's not the only one. Warren Buffett, Ray Dalio, and Peter Lynch also used mental models before investing in a company. The 8 most powerful mental models I learned from genius investors. And like I said, this is a great post. Circle of competence, Warren Buffett. Only invest in areas you fully understand. Buffett focuses on industries he has a deep understanding of, avoiding those outside his expertise. If you don't understand how a business makes money, don't invest in it. So in that vein, early on, I was invested in technology companies, and I did okay with that because I felt like I kind of knew what technologies were coming, and I missed the boat on Netflix, way back in the day. I mean, of course, I wouldn't touch it now, but I mean, now that they've gone woke. But back in the day, when Blockbuster came out against them, I sold my position, and I'm doubled my money. Don't get me wrong, but man, if I just held on, I would have gazillionized my money because I sold about $15. I bought it at like $8, and then it went to what, 200 and some. I don't even know what it went to. So let's watch Buffett talking about that. This is a brief video. Let's watch that.
Is the box that says that knowns and important, knowable and important. Is there anything in that box? And can you tell what's in that box and what isn't in that box? And that's what I call knowing your circle of competence. And my circle of competence doesn't include the ability to predict interest rates a day from now or a year from now or 5 years from now. So I say, can I function without knowing that? It's the same way as predicting what business is going to do or the stock market is going to do. I can't do any of those things. But that doesn't mean that I can't do well investing over time.
All right, so there we go. So the next thing, margin of safety. Benjamin Graham. By the way, if you don't know these names, these are great investors. Peter Lynch, Benjamin Graham. Anyway, these are all famous people. Ray Dalio. Buy assets well below their intrinsic value to reduce risk. This is one of the most important principles in value investing. This model teaches you the price you pay can offer protection against volatility and mistakes. And I've got the graphic up above so that you can look at that. Now, I hope I'm educating you. I'm not boring the hell out of you anyway. Inversion, Charlie Munger. Solve problems by thinking backward, focusing in on what you want to avoid. Munger often says, all I want to know is where I'm going to die. So I never go there. Investors use inversion to identify pitfalls and avoid poor investment choices. Let's watch him talking in this video.
And so I figured out the minute I was actually making weather forecasts for real pilots, I said, how can I kill these pilots? Now, that's not the question that most people would ask, but I want to know what the easiest way to kill them would be so I could avoid it. And so I thought it through in reverse that way, and I finally figured out, I said, there are only two ways I'm ever going to, I was in the ferry command, there are only two ways I'm going to kill a pilot. So I'm going to get him at icing his plane can't handle, and that will kill him. Or I'm going to get him someplace where he's going to run out of gas before he can land because all the airports are sucked in. And I just was fanatic about avoiding those two hazards. And if Kobe Bryant had somebody like me, he'd still be with us.
All right, so let's keep going. Finance nerd. Second order thinking, Howard Marks. I don't know who Howard Marks is. That's kind of wild. Think beyond the initial effects of your decision and consider the long-term consequences. Marx is a big proponent of thinking not just about what will happen, but what happens after that. This helps to see opportunities over miss. And let's watch that video.
But the first chapter says the most important thing is second-level thinking. If you think the same as everybody else, you're going to act the same. If you act the same as everybody else, you're going to perform the same. And that's not a very good performance formula for being a superior investor. If you want to be a superior investor, you have to think different from others. You have to act different. And maybe then you can have different performance. And then the only question is your performance different and right or different and wrong relative to the average. But clearly, if you think the same as everybody else, you can't outperform. So you have to have an organization which is based on what I consider second-level thinking, which is thinking different from others and better. So when my son was studying investing, and he would come to me and he'd say, Dad, I think we should buy Ford stock because Ford is coming out with a great Mustang, and they're going to make a lot of money. And I would say to him, my answer was always the same because I feel by repetition you can get your lessons across. So my answer to him was always the same. Who doesn't know that? If Ford's going to come out with a great Mustang and it's going to be a killer car and it's going to make a lot of money, but everybody who follows Ford knows that, then that piece of knowledge is not profitable. So in order to outperform others, you have to know something they don't know. You have to look at things in a different way than they look at them. Second-level thinking, different and better. And just one brief example. The first-level thinker says, this is a great company, we should buy the stock. The second-level thinker says, it's a great company, but it's not as great as everybody thinks, we should sell the stock. And that's the thing I hope you'll think about.
Okay. Contrarian thinking, John Templeton. Buy when others are fearful. Templeton famously bought into markets others shunned, like during the Great Depression, and made a fortune by being a contrarian investor. And in that vein, by the way, listen to the rain coming down. Mining stocks. For a while, the gold, silver, lithium, all the mining stocks were dirt cheap. Now, I haven't looked for a while. They're probably still a good buy. That's contrarian investing, okay? Now, the junior miners are extremely risky, and you'll lose all your money. So this is not investment advice. But the big miners, normally, I mean, that's a pretty safe bet. And with gold up at, what, $2,700 now, those gold mines probably are going to be making money for quite some time, and they usually pay a dividend. So just saying, something for you to look at, all right? Risk-reward ratio, Peter Lynch. Always evaluate risk relative to potential reward. Lynch focused on finding 10 bagger stocks, meaning those with the potential to increase tenfold in value, while being mindful of the risks associated with each investment. So like a junior miner, for example, has the potential to be a tenfold increase. You can also lose everything because it's a risky investment. Let's watch that video.
If you put $1,000 in a stock, all you can lose is $1,000. I've done that several times. And but if you're right, you can make $5,000, $10,000, $20,000. So in this business, you don't have to be right 1 or 2 times. You can be right 1 out of 4. It's a long time. The times you're right, you know the company's doing well, you know they're doing a great job, you add to it, so you can sell it, sell the product.
All right, so that's that one. Like I said, it's a great thread. Opportunity cost, Charlie Munger. The true cost of a decision is the value of the next best alternative. Munger constantly evaluates the opportunity cost of each investment decision. Is your current investment better than what else you could be doing with the same money? And let's watch that video.
I would argue that one filter that's useful in investing is the simple idea of opportunity cost. If you have one opportunity that you already have available in large quantity and you like it better than 98% of the other things you see, well, you can just screen out the other 98% because you already know something better. So that people who have a lot of opportunities tend to make better investments.
Okay. How in the hell do people put together threads like this? Can you imagine? I mean, just making a video takes a long time, but I can't imagine, having to go out and find all of these clips and then put it all into words and everything. And I mean, unless he probably had a book, and that's what I do sometimes. I just cut and paste from my book, and that's so that way I'm not writing everything from scratch. Mr. Market, Benjamin Graham. Treat the market as an irrational entity that can be overly optimistic or pessimistic. The market right now is overly optimistic. That's my opinion. Buy when others are overly pessimistic and sell when they are rationally optimistic. Buffett sitting on $375 billion in cash. So let's watch that video.
Ben Graham used the example of Mr. Market, which is we've used it. I've copied it in the report. I copy from all the good writers. And Ben said, just imagine that when you buy a stock that in effect, you've bought into a business where you have this obliging partner who comes around every day and offers you a price at which you'll either buy or sell, and the price is identical. And no one ever gets that in a private business where daily you get a buy-sell offer by a party. But in the stock market, you get it. That's a huge advantage. It's a bigger advantage if this partner of yours is a heavy drinking manic depressive. I mean, the crazier he is, the more money you're going to make. So you should, as an investor, you love volatility. Not if you're on margin, but if you're an investor, you aren't on margin. And if you're an investor, you love the idea of wild swings because it means more things are going to get mispriced. All right, let's see. Keep going. The digital gold rush is upon us. Just like the internet of the 90s or the iPhone in 2007, personal branding is the next big thing. And it's got a little graphic here, and it keeps on going. In the last 18 months, I have helped dozens of entrepreneurs generate over 500 million impressions and build a strong personal brand, and built a network of 8 theme pages to over 800+ followers. And then he's got a graphic here. I think this is just an advertisement for him. And you know what? The guy deserves it. He deserves it for putting together such a good thread. This is, once again, getting back to the Democrat theme. Representative Chris Smith, Republican, New Jersey, is drafting legislation to allow state and local police to shoot down drones. Oh, I'm sorry, this is a different post. Since the DOD is refusing to act.
And see, this is what I'm saying. If the Democrats would just come out and tell people why the drones are flying, because they know, and they know where they're coming from, and they know where they're going, and they know what they're doing, then we might not have people trying to, because I've seen some videos of people shooting at the drones. You know, if they thought the drones were there to help them, they wouldn't be doing it. All right, so that's going to be it. Let's just tie the video off right there. If I get into some more news, I'm going to go ahead and start hiking on back. Peace out. Stay free. Anyway, I always love to bring you news that, but by the way, if you've watched my previous video, I told you when Trump showed up at the Army-Navy game, it was going to be a standing ovation. You know, I just hope that gets under Democrats' skin. Can you imagine if Nancy Pelosi or Mitch McConnell or Mittens Romney or any of them evil people up in Congress, or certainly Sleepy Joe or Kamala Harris, I mean, do you think they would get a standing ovation? I hope that just gets under the Democrats' skin. Hope it just irks Democrats. Think, obviously those people can't love Trump. Oh no, they must all be brainwashed. Anyway, let's watch, on that theme, let's look at the opposite. I've been telling you about George Soros, and Elon Musk came out and just said it. He hates humanity. Let's watch that video from Elon Musk.
One often hears of the sort of George Soros boogeyman, but I mean, Soros actually, he is, I believe, the top contributor to the Democratic Party. The second one was Sam Bankman-Fried. Yeah. So, and Soros, I don't know. I mean, he had a very difficult upbringing, in my opinion, he fundamentally hates humanity. That's my opinion.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, well, he's doing things that erode the fabric of civilization. Getting DAs elected who refuse to prosecute crime. That's part of the problem in San Francisco and LA and much other cities. So why would you do that?
Was it humanity, or is it just the United States as a whole? I mean,
he's pushing things in other countries too.
He's doing the same thing?
Yeah. Now, George at this point is pretty old. I mean, he's not, he's basically a bit senile at this point. But I mean, he's very smart. And he's very good at arbitrage. Famously, he shorted the British pound. That's sort of how I think he made his first money, was shorting the pound. So he's good at spotting, basically arbitrage, like spotting value for money that other people don't see. So one of the things he noticed was that that the value for money in local races is much higher than it is in national races. So the lowest value for money is a presidential race. Then next lowest value for money is a Senate race, then a Congress, and but once you get to sort of city and state district attorneys, the value for money is extremely good. And Soros realized that you don't actually need to change the laws, you just need to change how they're enforced. If nobody chooses to enforce the law, or the laws are differentially enforced, it's like changing the laws. That's what he figured out.
But is what's stunning that this trend, that people haven't pulled the brakes on this and have it reverse course?
They're pulling the brakes?
Yeah.
Yeah, pulling the brakes.
Now, I don't think I can say any more than Elon just said. So you see how the Democrats are highly supported by the Elon Musk. And, not supported by Elon Musk, they're supported by Soros. So evil supports evil, man. Think about the other thing. All right, they're saying, no, all right, so Democrats are supposed to be the party of by and for the people. Guess where a huge amount of money comes into the Democrat Party from? Big Pharma. Big Pharma. Okay? Now, so the big pharmaceutical companies have bought off the Democrat politicians. How does that make a Democrat feel? Why don't you ask them that? Say, hey, you know what? You know where AOC gets most of her money? Big Pharma. So what do you think that's going to do when RFK tries to get nominated? Every single Democrat is going to say, they're going to start crying all kinds of, well, he's obviously a rapist. He's he's a racist. He's raped women. I mean, you know, they're going to accuse him of every ad hominem argument known to mankind because they're in the pocket of Big Pharma. And who does RFK stand against? Big Pharma. Riddle me that. Talk to a Democrat about that. Say, why wouldn't you want somebody who wants to hold their feet to the fire, especially after what we know now about the jab, huh? I don't understand how you can be around a Democrat. I can't stand to be around them. Not at all. The next story. This is another Democrat story. This blew me away. Listening to Sebastian Gorka. Now, the TSA national, I don't know, like the head of the union, I don't know what her title is. Anyway, she was just on Sebastian Gorka, and she was talking about how the TSA has been corrupted by the Democrats. Now, if you didn't know, Tulsi Gabbard was put on the terrorist watch list. And what that meant was not only did it take her a long time to get through the airport, because they're going to search her luggage, you know, as soon as her face appears, she gets pulled aside. They're going to pull her out of line, spend another hour going through her stuff, and then 3 TSA agents, your tax money at work, have to follow her onto the plane, sit all around her. So I thought, you know, that's bad enough. That's bad enough. Putting your political rival on a terrorist watch list when you know, what is it, she a lieutenant colonel in the military? I think that's her rank. And you're going to put somebody like that on the terrorist watch list? That's who Democrats are, man. That's who Democrats are. So I thought, oh, that's bad enough. No, it goes on from there. This woman was talking about the fact that the Biden administration put all January 6th, or anybody, they went through and they ran all the credit cards of all the people that were in Washington, D.C. on January 6th. And if they were, they could have been there just to see a doctor. They could have been there just on vacation, whatever. They might not have even been in the crowd, but they were put on all these people. Everybody who was there was put on the terrorist watch list. So if you were identified by your credit card, let's say you bought a soft drink, or you know you went down and you got a hot dog or whatever. If you used that credit card, the Biden administration put you on the terrorist watch list, and that's why it was taking you so long to get through the airport, okay, because they're going to pull you aside. And then also she was talking about the huge waste of money that now 3 marshals have to follow that January 6er on the plane, you know, when ignoring potential real terrorists. You know, grandma's got 3 TSA people following her around, and you know, and here's Osama bin Laden sitting on the plane with nobody even watching him, right? Oh my God. Now, if that ain't bad enough, she was also talking about the fact that they've got it on good authority that Al-Qaeda and ISIS have developed a new bomb that's pretty much undetectable by current sniffing devices. So if you got a bomb sniffing dog, or you've got metal detectors at the airport or whatever, evidently it won't detect this type of bomb. And she's saying that, you know, what she wants is that she wants training for the TSA agents. She wants, you know, to meet with potential people in maybe anybody in the intelligence community who knows anything about, because she's got it on good authority that this is for real, and that they're going to be bringing these bombs into the country in 2025. And she said, if we're not prepared for them, people are going to die. And those were her exact words. If we are not prepared for them, people are going to die. And, you know, of course, Congress, feckless Congress, you know, what is it? They subpoenaed Mayorkas to come and testify before Congress. Used to be you go to jail, but he just didn't even show up. He told them, you know, I'm Mayorkas. I don't need to listen to anything that Congress has to say. And then they let him get away with it. God, I just can't believe, not only our government, I just can't believe the audacity or the low nature of the Biden administration, and Democrats are all for this shit, man. Holy moly. So those are 2, I mean, huge stories, aren't they? You know, I can't wait to see, you know, poor RFK. You know, here he is trying to just make America healthy again. And Democrats don't want people healthy. They want you sick. They're probably all doctors, so they can make a ton of money. I don't know if your doctor's a Democrat, I suggest you find another doctor, because he ain't there for your health. He's there probably getting paid by the drug companies to push pharmaceuticals on you that you don't need or probably will harm you. So don't go to a damn Democrat doctor, that's for sure. All right, I know I'm on my box. Peace out and stay free.
У нас сегодня с вами совещание, посвященное заключению госконтрактов в сфере оборонно-промышленного комплекса на следующий год. Но начнем не с этого. Сегодня в результате теракта погиб наш коллега и наш товарищ Игорь Анатольевич Кириллов. Он был военачальником, преданным и своему долгу и присяге. Мы все здесь присутствующие за этим столом знали его и как очень хорошего профессионала, и как порядочного и ответственного человека. Всем понятно, что произошло, что случилось и что нужно делать. Несмотря на то, что расследование только началось, уже наши враги поспешили опубликовать информацию о своей причастности. Но в любом случае правоохранительные органы должны найти убийц в России, и нужно сделать все, чтобы уничтожить заказчиков, которые находятся в Киеве. Заказчики эти тоже известны, это военно-политическое руководство Украины.